Denim Couch Podcast. Ooh, oh, oh. Ooh, oh, oh.
The 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s with Steph with an F.
Hi guys, welcome to the Denim Couch Podcast, where we chill on this denim couch and talk about the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I'm Stephanie Tanner. Welcome. Hey guys, it's Stephanie Tanner with the Denim Couch Podcast. And this week our interview is with Stacey Johnson. And Stacey was kind enough to do this for me. We had an awesome interview and I was surprised with his stories. They are incredible. And I want to be a part of the Johnson clan growing up in the 70s. Oh, so exciting. The things that they did, and they spent all of their time outdoors. And it just sounds like a blast. Currently, Stacey is doing theater at St. George Theater. He describes it a little bit in this clip that I'll show. And it is beautiful. You should go look it up and look at the pictures. So incredibly beautiful. And I might just have to hop on over there and go see one of these plays because they look amazing and he is a part of them. And yeah, here's a little clip of him explaining his opportunity to be in the plays.
I've actually auditioned for a professional theater group down here, the Tuacahn Theater, which they get actors from all over the country. Wow. And Tuacahn is a bigger. It's an open air theater. It's beautiful. It's Red Rock. They have 3 shows every year: The Count of Monte Cristo, Beauty and the Beast, and Annie. So I got a call back for The Count of Monte Cristo.
No way.
Yeah, for the Ave Faria, who was the guy that was in prison with Edmond Dantes. And I also got a call back for Annie. Generally, if they hire you, they expect you to work in all the productions. So the one show I've done since I've been here is 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. And I played my banjo and I played guitar. Because we had
so cool.
The barn dance and everything. I played my guitar.
All right, so isn't that awesome? I just think that's so cool, and I really hope I get to see that. And I love the different talents and personalities that the people I interview have, and everyone is so different and had such an interesting experience growing up. I feel like his 70s stories are so magical and so fun and just takes you to another place where you can enjoy the outdoors and wish you were in the 70s. So let's just dive in. And my first question for you is, can you tell me a little bit more about your name?
The name that I went by was not common at all. Stacey's what I went by, but that's not my first name. So my dad's name is Glenn, and that was my first name. I went by my middle name, which was actually, Stacey is actually a family name, and it's actually a last name. So if you trace the genealogy of Stacey back, it was a last name.
What was life like back in the 70s?
Well, it was fairly. My memory was we weren't very well off, but like most families, you didn't have a lot. But I thought it was pretty easy going. We didn't grow up with a lot of toys. We didn't grow up with a lot of things, so we were in our minds. We created lots of things. It was pretty easy going, especially in the summertime. My memories are more for summertime when we lived in a small town in New Plymouth, and we would just run. We would swim in the canals, which today they don't allow you to swim in the canals. I don't know why, but it's prohibited. But we would swim in the canals. In fact, we used to ski in the canals behind a car because the roads would run right next to the canal. So the farmers could use them and the people that took care of the canal could use them. And then we would just tie a rope to the car up on the post in between the front door and the back door. There's a post there, and we just roll the windows down, and we tie a rope to that, and then we'd use that to pull a skier. I actually had a friend that learned how to ski in the canals behind a car. We created a lot of things just like that. If I was outside and younger playing, we would play horses and, make crowds, but it was always, draw it in the dirt. And to play horses, you just got a tin can and you smushed in one side, and then it actually looked like a hoof print. Those are the kinds of things that we did. We would create things in our mind. We would create games. I grew up, of course, with the 6 brothers. We didn't have to go down the neighborhood to find somebody to play a game with us. There was enough of us to play baseball, basketball, whatever we wanted to play. There was enough of us just to play. We did have chores. That was one thing that, kids in those days, my memory is, at least in our family, we had chores. We had work to do. And we had a huge garden while I was growing up. It was huge. And we canned a lot out of the garden to feed us, but we had chores and we had to do our chores, and it was constant. And you couldn't do anything until you actually did your chores first. I had pigeons growing up. I had rabbits. I had things to occupy my time and my mind, and we built tree houses. We had huge cottonwood trees in our backyard, massive cottonwood trees, and we built tree houses in them. In fact, it was a 3-story tree house, and I think the top one was probably 40 feet in the air, and it had 3 levels to it, so it was pretty cool. My dad didn't help at all. He wouldn't get up in those trees. The neighborhood kids came to our house to play, because we had a big rope hanging out of our tree house, out of our tree. We had a playhouse, and we would do the Tarzan swing off the play out. We would play tag for hours on end throughout the day.
What did you do for fun in the 70s?
And the kids from the neighborhood would come to our house to play tag. At night, we would play either midnight football, where you had a sock, and it was pitch dark, and we would play. There was a boulevard out in front of our house, and we would just play with this sock. We'd play midnight football when there was 2 goals. And you never knew who really had the ball, as it were. We called it midnight football. So we would play midnight football at night, and we would play hide and seek like crazy. I mean, kids don't do a lot of that today, but we did a lot of it. We weren't malicious. We didn't vandalize people's houses. We didn't vandalize anything. We did, as it got older, we did do what was called run town. And we would just run around town. The worst we ever did was, people never locked their cars. Windows were left open. And the worst we ever did was we would get a stick, put it on the horn, and jam it into the seat, and then so it would start honking the horn. And then you'd take off running. And this was late at night, And then people would have to come out and take the stick off their horn, and we rolled the city dumpster into the middle of the street. So we would just run around and we would get into people's gardens and pick their tomatoes and eat them. So we did a lot of things at night, but these were things that we had to create because there was nothing else going on. We did do some things that were not good, but we got in trouble for it. In those days, if you got in trouble like at school, you got swapped. You got with a board, and it hurt. And I got swatted in high school. But when you went home, you didn't tell your parents that you got in trouble at school, because if you did, you got it again. Kids didn't act out a lot in school.
What were some popular activities?
So, at least when I was in high school, this is where I recognized it the most, was adults came to the games. And the whole community came, because we would, like when we were in a small town, New Plymouth is a small town, still is. But when we had a football game, it was packed. And the parents were there, all the kids were there, everybody was there, because in those days you didn't have good TV, especially in the 60s. There was a couple of programs that you could watch. But for the most part, we watched TV on Saturday morning. That was about it. There wasn't a lot to do. We didn't have a theater in town. So people went to games. Parents went to their kids' Little League games. We didn't have Little League football in those days. The only thing we had that was for the kids, and of course it was just for boys, we didn't have soccer. We didn't have things that the girls could play. We just had baseball. That was it. We all played sports. We all played baseball. We all played Basketball. Kevin, my brother Kevin and I were wrestlers in high school. I didn't play basketball in high school because I wasn't a fast runner. I didn't shoot the ball real well when I was in high school, but I'd actually gotten a lot better as an adult, and I've gotten actually pretty good. So I still play basketball, and I'm 65 years old. And so basketball has become my favorite sport. I did play softball. I actually umpired softball when I lived in Newburgh. I umpired softball for about 10 years. I got to be in every game, and I got to be basically in every play. Being an umpire, you're in on everything. You're in on every call. You're in on everything. So I like being an umpire, and I did it for about 10 years.
Do you have any favorite memories from the 70s?
Well, I think some of my favorite memories were in the 70s. Growing up, early adult. I had some struggles as a young adult, but I had a lot of fun when I met Sharon. We had a lot of fun just going out and doing things because, again, there still weren't a lot of things to do, and so we would get in our Jeep and we would ride out into the countryside and just explore things and shoot guns. And a lot of my good memories are from the early 70s growing up. A lot of swimming, lots of swimming in the summertime. We swam every day except for Sunday. Did a lot of bird hunting, a lot of pheasant hunting. In the Treasure Valley, there's lots of pheasants. And we would get home from school and just grab our shotgun and start walking. We lived kind of on the outskirts of town, and so it didn't have to go far to get to the countryside. And we just go out and start walking, and we didn't ask permission to hunt in anybody's field. There wasn't anybody that tried to keep us off their field. We would just go hunt, but we didn't walk through people's, by that time of the year, the crops have been taken off. So we would walk their ditch lines and walk their field, but we were very respectful of their property, didn't ever shoot towards their houses, things like that. But you didn't have to have a bird dog in those days. There were so many pheasants, all you had to do was walk alongside a ditch and you'd get a pheasant jump up. It was so much fun hunting birds. I think it was the activities that were not related to the TV or in the house that was so memorable for me. Is just always something to do, friends to do it with because they all did the same things. But there were always friends to play with. I didn't always go with my brothers hunting. I'd just go get my gun and go hunting by myself. We had a stream called Kids Creek. It was for the kids, but it had trout in it. Mm-hmm. And it was probably, I would say 1.5 miles away from the house, out in the country. And I'd just get on my bike and get my fishing pole, and I'd get worms in the garden, and I'd just ride my bike out to the fishing stream. In the wintertime, too, it would just, when it snowed, you were out making snowmen. You were out, we'd go out to the bluffs. We called them the bluffs, but they were the hills, and you'd go out there, and we had a sled hill, and it's only 4 miles away from the house, and you just go out there and get your sleighs and walk up and down the hill riding sled. My dad had what was called a Nerf board. It was just it's kind of like a big, long skateboard with no wheels, of course. Mm-hmm. Then it had a rope coming off the toe. It looked like a ski is what it looked like. It looked like a water ski, but you slid on the snow. So it was just one ski, and you had a rope coming off the toe. You would kind of ride it like a skateboard, but it was narrow like a ski. And then the back, it was slanted. The front was flat, and as you came back, it V'd up so that you could turn with a rope that came off the toe, and you would hold onto that rope to kind of help with your balance, and then you would just slide down the hill.
What was the style like back in the 70s?
Yeah, the style was bell-bottom pants with cuffs and platform shoes. When I was in high school, I was king of the prom, and I had a pair of white suede platform shoes, and the soles were kind of a flesh-colored sole. So it was a white shoe with a flesh-colored sole, platform sole. My pants were a maroon pants. I had purple plaid suit so it was pants and a suit coat that matched. That were just bell-bottom pants, platform shoes, and these big cuffs. The cuffs were probably 2 to 2.5 inch cuffs. And then popular in the late 60s. maybe early 70s, but mostly in the late 60s, was paisley. So we had paisley shirts, and pants were really colorful. And then our jeans were bell-bottom jeans, but we would cut the very bottom cuff off because they'd come from the store new.
Mm-hmm.
So we would cut the very bottom cuff off so that your pants, when you washed them, would fray out. You wanted them to drag the ground. And of course, long hair started coming towards the end of the 60s, early 70s. A lot of guys in the like 71, 72, right in there, if they had curly hair at all, they liked the curled bangs. So they would grow their hair as long as their parents would allow them to, which wasn't that long. I did have 2 people in my class that had long hair. As long as you could, your parents would let you grow it. Because, I mean, if you could just imagine, we had, parents that were saying how evil it was to grow your hair long.
What made you happy back in the 70s?
Lots of things made me happy, but I think really it all just kind of flows out of the family, because we were allowed to do certain things. Halloween was always a fun time, but there was just a lot of excitement around doing this because everybody in the family's doing it, and our activities, everything just was flowing from the family experience. And so I think even though I have individual happy times that I can think about activities and things like that, it really all flows from the family, because without that, you've got nothing.
What brings you peace or calmness during hard times?
Well, this is probably the hardest that I've seen in my life.
Interesting.
I've had, you always have financial things, but I think just hope in things that are not tangible, hope in the spiritual things, hope because we're all gonna leave this existence someday. So hope in the things that I know to be true, and hope in the things that I've been taught in life after this life with Heavenly Father. And so that's pretty much where I look when things get hard. And because you reflect more when things are hard, you reflect on your personal status, your personal situation, and so you're reflecting more on what's important. And it flows back to the family, which flows to the greater extended picture, which is beyond this life. You can rely on that spiritual strength from other people in your family.
Man, his stories are incredible. I thought he had great input for dealing with hard times, and he had something to say about reflecting, that hard times make you reflect. And I thought that was so spot on, because all I've been doing the last couple weeks is reflecting in my spare time. I do it a lot anyways, but I've been really reflecting lately on family and some of our really good memories with my parents and siblings and family right now, my kids, my husband, and thinking about the years and the difference in years, and comparing them to now. And it's been really cool to reflect and remember what's important to you. And I also think hard times bring reflection and almost help you reevaluate where you're taking your life, and reevaluate your values and what you're doing ultimately. And it's been really fun. Of course, I wouldn't wish this virus on anyone, but it has been very interesting and cool to see people around our neighborhood playing outside, sitting outside together, getting out and doing things. We're getting to the point where we're also bored because a lot of our events are canceled and we can't go out and do things. So we have to kind of reach back and, just like these people talk about in the interviews, make your own fun. And it's been really cool to see people garden. And I have some neighbors who are, I think, playing racquetball outside. I think that's it for today. I really appreciate you guys listening, and we will continue on with the 70s. It's been so fun hearing these stories. I just have to imagine all of these people in really colorful outfits with collars and cuffs and funky patterns. So with that, talk to you next week. Bye. Wait. You can't miss the embarrassing story of the week. No. Okay. It's that time. It's Steph with an F's embarrassing story of the week. So the embarrassing story this week actually isn't me, and it just happened to me today. And I thought it more than embarrassed little kid, but it made my day. So we got my kid a bike trailer that we can connect to my bike, which is awesome because I get to go outside and ride around with my kid in the back, and he loves it and I love it. And we were just enjoying the neighborhood today, and some kid was running with his mother, who knows where, but they were running on the sidewalk, and his pants dropped down, and he was far enough away. It was totally fine, and I acted like I didn't see a thing, but it was hilarious. And so, poor kid, he is the funny story of the week. But I got a good laugh. Man, it just made my day. It was so funny, so hilarious. She had to quickly put them back on and tie the string a little tighter. So that's my embarrassing story for the week. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Talk to you soon. Bye.
If you came here for mental health help, please go visit your doctor. If you're looking for some mental health tips, Dr. Daniel Amen is someone I follow. I love what he has to say and offer. I think his website is brainhealthassessment.com, and he just has some awesome checklist items that go over brain health habits that you should be doing to have better brain health. I want to say there's like 5 to 10 items, and if you have those, if you're working on those habits and trying to improve them to improve your brain health, you'll also improve your happiness level, because brain health equals mental health. So keep your brains happy and healthy, and check out Dr. Daniel Amen. This is not sponsored. I just really like what he has to say, and I think it's really beneficial. I think it can help a lot of people. It's actually very matter of fact, kind of obvious, but yet we neglect so many of these habits daily. And I do feel like, if you're feeling unhappy, that may be one of the reasons you're unhappy, because you're neglecting your brain health, which is also your mental health. And trying to improve these habits could really help. So check him out. If you have any stories from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, please get in contact with me. Let's chat. I want nothing more than to chat about the past. I want nothing more than to chat about the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. If you have any specific questions that I'm not asking that you would like to know about these eras while interviewing these people, please let me know. I would love some advice, and I would love your input. So what would you guys like to know?